Welcome back to Cracking On with the Sun. Now, it feels like just yesterday that we had a bombshell called Tyler enter the villa, and that's because it was just yesterday. But we've had 2 other bombshells since then. That was another jaw-dropping moment of mine, of like, oh my God, there is Tom, Clare and Rochelle Humes' sister, who I was a bit like, who is that again? Sophie Piper.
Yeah, so I think we can all agree that Sophie Piper is gorgeous. We can all agree that Tom Clare is gorgeous, but neither, I think it's fair to say, were necessarily known for their personalities.
What do you mean?
So now I say this full of envy. Imagine being so good looking, you don't need to bring anything else apparently to the table. Now I know that their fellow islanders love them. Mm-hmm. People have, they've got mates, they're on the party scene and all this, that and the other. But Tom is like peak, I'm 6'5", full stop.
I know. But having met him and been in that presence of that 6'5" body, you just forget that he needs a personality. You just don't even bother about it.
No.
You could just look at him forever. I just don't.
Well, lucky for you, he's back.
He was. I mean, he is quite sweet in real life. He's just super confident. It kind of just, you feel just a bit of a mess in his presence because I've never seen so many girls attracted round an islander before. He was getting all the girls in. So I completely get what you mean about the personality draw isn't there, and it's not. He just never had that kind of the humour side and everything. Seemed a little bit maybe young for that. It was
Amanda.
And yet he does attract all these female fans, and isn't that what Love Island wants? They want us all to tune in and see Tom and Clare.
Well, I don't know if you saw last night on Twitter, obviously the Sun were able to reveal that Tom was going in, but Twitter not happy with this. They were like, you've got all of these islanders to choose from and you've picking these dead islanders from series which we didn't enjoy. So similarly, obviously Sophie was from winter 2020, and again, I can't really remember what she did in that series.
And I can't remember who she was with.
No.
Or there was kind of nothing
I
there.
can't remember anything apart from she's really pretty and she's Rochelle's sister.
What do you think the reason behind Love Island bringing these kind of people in is? I mean, Rochelle Humes is obviously a big draw with Sophie. She's already been kind of saying, she's just had her husband Marvin on I'm a Celeb. Now she's got her half-sister Sophie on there. So it's a bit like, wow, my whole family can just stop going on reality TV shows because I need to have a night off watching you.
Yeah, I get that for sure. But I mean, I can tell you exactly why Tom is there.
Okay, tell me.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Because
for
Tom has hooked up with Georgia Steele and Arabella. So he's another one who's had secret flings on the outside, which will be revealed on Love Island All Stars. So
this is so good.
We thought he was obviously going in with only Sammy Alishi, obviously his winter 23 villa girlfriend, as an ex.
Well, he did kiss quite a few in that place though.
He did. So on his season. But yeah, that has continued. I mean, no surprise, obviously, from what you've said in terms of the way that he gets the women. But basically, quick timeline for you. He's been a busy boy since Winter 23 series. Yeah. So came out, was with Sammy for maybe another month. And then that summer, if you remember, him and Bezzy mate Casey Gorman were out on the scene. Mm-hmm. They were on all of the holiday trips. They all go on those trending travel.
Yes.
And
a freebie holiday, basically, to sort of just post about it to their followers.
To their influencers. Yeah, exactly. And on one of those, hooked up with Georgia. So this was just before she went on the games.
And this is Georgia Steele.
Yeah. So this was just before she then flew off to be on the games, Love Island Games, and got with Toby. Right. So essentially,
I think so. This is explaining a lot because then Toby was the rebound. Because I don't see how you could compare Tom and Toby.
Agreed. It's completely different things.
Yeah.
It's like you in your glamorous dress and me in my knitwear sack. That's completely different things. So I mean, look, that's already going to be an explosive situation immediately. Yeah. So Georgia Steele currently, quick recap, is binned off Toby after Toby binned her off. and is currently getting to know Callum. Now, Tom's going to strut in, all 6'5" of him, and Georgia is like, brilliant, another one I can just pick up with. So we'll see about that.
And I think Toby's going to so regret his decision of pieing her, because she's already getting loads of attention. He's back to square one of not really having anyone, because obviously Arabella chose Chris.
Yeah.
Do you think, I don't know if you have any insider knowledge here, but Tom's ex, Sammy, is she in the pipeline to maybe potentially enter the villa?
No. So some more tea for you. She was in talks to go in. As soon as she heard that Tom was also in talks, she said, hell no, I'm not doing this ex situation. Draw me out. I'm not doing it.
Right.
So essentially, we've got Tom at the expense of Sammy.
Okay.
So, I mean, unless, as we know, they're talking to people constantly for this, unless she sees him on there, starts hearing about all of these flings, feels so angry about the situation that she feels compelled, get me on that flight.
We don't really know why they split up, because they've actually been a bit on and off. So I think you are right in saying they split up quite shortly after their series. But they were, remember, fully in love, they said. So, and I think he has kind of come out since being put in the villa and said, you know, I was in love with her. This is, I don't know how I would feel to see her, because it's been ages. There are real deep feelings there. So they split up for whatever reason. She's very good friends with Claudia, who's good friends with Tom, and that was that, you know, that clique. And I really wanted Claudia and Casey, because I thought this is the perfect little foursome, double dates and everything. That didn't work out. They kind of had a split for a few months, and then they did end up getting back together, growing close again. But then something happened. Is that the Georgia Steele moment? Was there some sort of overlap?
I think that's Arabella.
Right, okay.
So Arabella was before Georgia Steele.
Arabella gets in on all the action.
So can we just say, Arabella, Tom Clare is 24. Arabella is 32. So let's assume maybe he was 23, she was 31, because this was just get my Arabella love timeline up. She loves an age gap, that girl, because Toby's obviously young. We know she's been with Toby. And I love that for her. And I love that Love Island is embracing this cougar situation, because girls just want to have fun.
Well, we wouldn't normally actually sort of mention age gaps if it was the other way around, if the male was older.
Amanda.
But we're kind of sort of focusing on that, aren't we? We have looked at her and thought, oh, hang on, Toby, really, there's quite an age gap there. And I think she seems mature as well. So she seems kind of even older. The boys seem even younger. So it does feel like their kind of chat is just not the potential that it could be if she was with someone older. Yes, exactly.
People that didn't have though, what did you think of Chris and Arabella's date on the rowing boat?
Oh, it was just perfect. I love them together. And I'm going to hold my hand up. I was wrong, because I was like, I don't see this. Like, how are they going to end up? But there's real chemistry there. He makes her laugh. He's obviously besotted. I'm like fully behind them now. It just depends whether she potentially gets her head turned by Tom being in there and perhaps sort of unfinished business.
I mean, she would be incredibly stupid to dump, let's say, Oscar-nominated Chris Taylor.
You're obsessed with his Barbie role.
Barbie has got Oscar nominations. How is she dropping him?
I wonder if he knows that. Do you think that's been fed in?
Another little bit of tea for you here.
Lovely.
I am the tea lady today. Same rules apply. ITV have confirmed to us today that they will not be telling Chris Taylor that his film Barbie is Oscar nominated, because the rules of we don't tell you what's going on in the outside world still apply.
Nice little surprise when he gets out then.
Yeah, if it all goes wrong, at least he's coming out to one of those golden statuettes potentially for his 1 second of Barbie. Hey, I'm not knocking it. So what else happened last night? Talk to me about your favourite bits.
Okay, so my favourite bit actually was that big row, because it's kind of the first one that we've seen that isn't just between exes. So this was Arabella and Mitch, which I didn't see coming at all. It was a little bit like, oh, what's gone on there? And I noticed that when, so this is during the really raunchy challenge, and you weren't lying when you said
feral,
bloody feral. I mean, it was just. I mean, I loved it, but I was thinking, I don't know, should we be watching this? This is like very intense, with all of the popping of the balloons and all the questions, and there's so many steamy kisses. But then in the middle of it all kicks off because Mitch called Arabella disloyal, which he was asked. It was part of the game. He didn't just like randomly say it. Kind of in retaliation, I think, because I'd have done the same when he was then asked. What was his question? So she was asked about being who would most likely be talked about behind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who is the most likely Islander to talk behind your back? And she said, kind of in retaliation, Mitch. He did not like that.
No.
And when that disloyal comment was made, and she took real offence to it, and she hit back, and Mitch just like quite under his breath was like, I know it. It's a fact. I know it. I'm sorry, Mitch, can we just stop it? Tell us what you know. Because it sounds like you know someone that Arabella's cheated with or something's gone on. And he knew, he was like, this is fact. I know that you're disloyal. Obviously, she's done nothing in the villa to be disloyal.
Theory.
Okay. Oh, I love a theory. Go on then.
Maybe this was Arabella and Tom. Maybe he knows that Arabella got with Tom while Arabella was with someone else. It might have been when she was dating that New York businessman that was friends with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. I don't know how
that
she
kind
keeps
of
Arabella
timing
keeps up. Because I'm like, how does she have the time? It's brilliant.
Because what I'm thinking is we know that Tom and Mitch are friends because they are a similar kind of season, you know what I mean? He was fresh out, so they'd be at the same events and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think timings wise, potentially that maps out. Sorry, just find my Arabella timeline again. And maybe that's gonna all come out in the wash.
Oh, so good.
So what I'm thinking, secondary theory, is we can probably assume now that every single bombshell that goes in there has got some history. These aren't just fit people anymore. They are all there for a reason with the storyline. Because everyone that's gone in there haven't just been someone fit to tempt them, have they? They've all got a connection and a link.
Yeah. And so
brilliant.
That's perfect. This is what we want. And it is, everyone kind of keeps saying it, very celeb X on the beach vibes of where it's just that constant threat of who is going to come in. And that kind of creates this atmosphere behind the scenes where they're quite tense in thinking, oh, who do I know from my past who's going to, at any minute, because sometimes it is just they turn around, someone's walked into the villa. You couldn't relax, could you?
No.
Ever. You'd have to be fully makeup, like dolled up like every single second of the day.
It's like, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Revenge of the Terminator 2 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's
no, not really.
Like, I can't remember everyone that I've kissed and... Oh, being famous, man. It's not what it's cracked up to be.
So we, I kind of, in that way though, then seeing some really interesting kind of triangles, because the one that really took me by surprise last night was we have had Tyler situation, who we're kind of forgetting because there's already bombshells in there.
Oh yeah.
But Tyler's in, and he's had this row with Kaz seconds after joining the villa. They have this sit down chat, and it's a very it's quite heated, grumpy. It felt as if, really, is there anything going to be there?
I don't know. I felt like there's still chemistry. I think there's still...
And he chose her for that kiss.
Yeah, he did.
In the challenge.
But I know exactly which kiss you're going to talk about.
Hannah and Tyler.
Yeah.
Not one but two kisses. So the first one was in the challenge, and she went for him, which, you know, it didn't surprise me because she'd friend zoned everyone else. So this is like the newbie that's on. Then she wanted to have a little feel of what it's like to be with Tyler, and it looked good, didn't it? It looked really good. And yet at the end in the teaser, there they are again,
snugging.
But this doesn't look like a game. They're sat on the sofa, and passionately kissing.
Yeah.
What has gone on in this 24 hours? It needs to be 9 p.m.
So that you can find
I
out.
just need to know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see them as a kind of, a couple at all. I mean, she to me couldn't be any more different from Kaz. Kaz has kind of got that real authentic feel to her where she's like kind of like, I don't know, there's just something so strikingly different. And
I think what they have in common is they're both very strong women who know exactly who they are. And some men find that incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he digs, and like, good on him.
Yeah.
Maybe there's hope for you, Amanda.
I
with
know.
your tireless soft spot, because you're one of those.
I know. Okay, the other awkward kiss that I wanted to mention.
Oh, hang on,
and there's actually been quiet.
We'll just get our breath spray out for this moment.
There's been quite a lot of awkward kind of like Arabella and Chris. Love them together, but then also there's so much tongue just like flying about, and you just can't stop looking, and you're thinking, oh my god, like they are really getting into this.
Yeah.
Like, what's the bets that something maybe progresses slightly with them?
You think there's going to be some bonking?
I mean, if that's how it's going, and it was day one, it's
I agree.
Intense.
Like, also, let's not forget that back in their series, people did actually have sex on Love Island. We know from Kem and Amber, for example, they were at it constantly, like even at one point under a lilo in the swimming pool. Like back in the day, they had sex. Like, it wasn't what it is today.
My prediction is that they have sex.
I think so too, and I think it's going to be.
And I just feel as if they're so into that kiss that they completely forget they're being filmed.
Yeah.
And they're just obsessed with each other.
I love it.
Who's not obsessed with each other is Anton and Georgia Harrison. He seemed to sort of enjoy the kiss, tell all the boys about it. She told the girls about it to say she didn't feel that spark. And I do think that when you have a really good kiss with someone, you feel that kind of chemistry zing in you, and you think, yeah, this is like exciting. I get butterflies in my tummy. She felt none of that.
No. And we talked about this yesterday. Like, sometimes you just need to do the snog to test the water and sense the motion in the ocean.
That's what she was doing, wasn't it? I think. Because it felt so set up. It was just the way that he goes in. He even says, I'm going to kiss you now. Why do we have to keep doing that? I'm going to kiss you now. Ready? I am pushing that romance.
Anton Burroughs back.
He's narrating his own life all the time.
I think this is a really good time to have a little chat with someone else that's kissed Anton.
Yeah, I think she's done a little bit more than that.
Oh.
They were actually together fully. So this is Belle Hassan. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
In their series, and they enjoyed a few months outside of the villa. They were properly together, and then they split. And I wasn't really sure her feelings towards him now. It's been quite a while ago since they were together. She hasn't spoken to him recently. She gave us all of the tea on him, and it's quite surprising what she says about, she thinks that there's perhaps a bit of gameplay going on with Anton.
Wow.
So obviously you were with him in the villa, and then you were together for about 5 weeks or so after leaving.
Yeah, and then we split up, and then we kind of got back together, and it just didn't work.
Just didn't work out. So how did you feel when you saw his name was in the lineup?
I wasn't really surprised, to be honest. I knew if there was an All Stars coming around, he'd want to do it. So I'm not surprised, but yeah, I'm happy for him.
And how do you think he's coming across so far?
Do you know what? I think he's coming across all right. I think he's kind of doing the same thing that he did before. You know, he's that kind of like sweet character you feel a little bit sorry for, and like, you know, you want him to find someone. So yeah, I think he's coming across all right.
I mean, that's the thing about him, is that he's got this, I was saying on the podcast this week that there's so many parts of him that you die with laughter, and I think, actually, does he mean that to be funny? This is something you kind of you laugh with him, but it's in a way of that I don't think he means to be funny, but oh my god, he just makes me laugh all the time. It's a lovable sort of hopeless romantic, but very unlucky in love. Why do you think that is about him?
Do you know what? I think with him, he thinks too much about what he says. So I think that it comes across well, but I think also if he is kind of like that in real life anyway. But like, I don't know. I think that he's just got this thing about him that's like, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it all. If you want me to be 100% honest, I don't know if I buy the kind of sweet act. Because as much as he's really lovely and he's really sweet, the hopeless romantic bit, I'm not sure if I'm sold. I'm not. I'm genuinely not. But he is lovely, so I will say that he is a lovely, lovely guy. But the hopeless romantic bit, I'm like, do you want to be with someone, or did that work for you the first time and you've kind of gone with that role again, if that makes sense?
What makes you think that maybe he doesn't want to settle down properly?
Well, obviously I don't know, but judging by kind of like the comments and the things that have come out, I think he was with someone and then they've kind of like split up whenever they've split up, and then he's gone into All Stars seeming like not long afterwards. So I'm like, are you going to have a relationship with that as soon after one? I don't know. But he might. Listen, he might. I haven't spoken to him in God knows how long. So he actually might be like, you know what, I'm out of one relationship. I'm ready to move on to the next. That's it. I'm ready to find the one. But do I see any of them 100% looking for that love connection? Probably not. Because I said it before and I'll say it again. We've all met each other, right? And this was one of the reasons why I didn't want to do it, because I was like, we've all met each other. If something was going to happen, it's either already happened or it would have happened, you know? Yeah.
Juicy.
Right? And I found it interesting that she's kind of pointed out that Anton is very fresh out of a relationship. They split up when All Stars was kind of being announced. I'm not putting two and two together here at all, but it's quite convenient, isn't it?
I've not started an Anton timeline yet, but I obviously need to.
We need to get our admin in order because there's so many Islanders now. What number are we up to? I can't believe how many we've got.
Oh, I don't know.
I wonder how many dumpings we'll have this week, and that they're going to keep it quite a large group. Because they're already spilling out into those extra beds, aren't they?
Yeah, so Arabella was in one of the single beds, but we know there's 3 more, and then we know, of course, from our chat with Ollie when he was fresh from the villa, on our first podcast, it feels like forever ago, about how there's all those extra beds in the hideaway as well. So we've not seen that come into play yet, have we? So we'll see. God, blimey.
And we've got Oliver actually later on in the week on the podcast, so we can kind of chat to him about what he thinks will be going on in that hideaway.
Yeah.
If he saw any of the props, because you know how sometimes they have that box of just like saucy stuff. I wonder if he got to have a rummage.
Yeah, can't wait to hear. My mind then was thinking, to be honest, this sounds awfully pervy of me, but thinking about when Chris and Arabella get their hands on that box, because based on the terrace when they just had each other, I mean, do you remember back in the day when there was Hollyoaks later?
Yeah, maybe that's what they have to do.
They're going to have to do like a Love Island All-Stars later.
I wonder whether the producers are actually a little bit worried, because they don't want it. They want this as a family show. You've got kind of the grandkids, parents, grandparents all watching Love Island.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of turned into over the last few years. And they don't want it to be too racy. They want to keep it family friendly.
Oh, I don't know.
But also, we all want to see the hot stuff. We want to see how far it goes. And if you go back to series 1 and 2, they were doing it on top of the covers. So we know that, there's that kind of side to ITV2 that could potentially be airing that, and they've just chosen not to. But maybe it's going to be such good TV this time around, and they're established people, so they know that going on there and having sex on TV, they know that what that does, like image outside of their brand, of just like having to talk about it, kind of be linked to that person for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I think that they are throwing in all of these exes for, like, not just the drama, but it also means that relationships are accelerated. So they know that if people are getting back together, they probably have already slept together. So I think it naturally means we probably are going to see a lot more action this series.
It didn't work with Josh and Georgia Harrison, though, did it, at all? That was one kiss and that was it.
Good girl. She rightly remembered that was wrong the first time for a reason.
And he's getting pied by Molly now.
Pie shop.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I thought was funny last night was, funny's the wrong word, I just loved how Kaz got so much action in that game. Everyone was picking Kaz, and I loved that for her because she deserves that.
Yeah, and the opposite for her best friend Liberty, who sort of didn't seem to get any action at all unless it was cut, but it was a long game. It was like the whole part of the show, wasn't it? Maybe going into 2 parts. So she just did not get anything, especially the fact that Mitch, when he was asked about who's the most loyal, who's the most disloyal, and he obviously chose Arabella for the latter. But you'd think that he would choose his own partner to be most loyal, and he chose Toby.
It's like
that was the weirdest choice.
Yeah, it's like he's forgotten that Liberty exists in loads of ways.
Oh, he doesn't care about her at all, does he?
I just feel sad because I think Liberty said earlier on in the series, like, this isn't going to be Liberty Pool heartbreak season, and I don't know. I
think it is. Because she kissed him. Oh, sorry, I need to get this off my chest. But she kissed him after making that big song and dance about the fact that they weren't, she's never going to forgive him for saying Demi was number 1 as well. And it was it was this huge big fight and a bit dramatic, stormed off. And then they sit down to sort of try and air things out. And next thing she's snogging him. I mean, it was a real quick turnaround, wasn't it?
It was throwback to Olivia Attwood, who obviously we all wish could have been on this season.
She's my favourite.
As she said, sometimes you just fall in the dick sand. And
that was such a classic quote from her series, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that the thing that's happening right now is Liberty Pool is stuck in Messy Mitch's dick sand. And if anyone else's dick sand is bad, Messy Mitch's dick sand
is got like... think about it.
I know. Sorry that I've put that in your head.
What an image.
And someone needs to get that girl out. And I'm really pushing this analogy here, but it's hard to get out of quicksand. Never mind dick sand. It's going to take quite the strapping man. But I'm sure that there's someone out there.
There's got to be.
Yeah. Love Island, get your tradesmen directory up. We know Liberty loves a tradesman.
Yes.
Get one of them in there. Get this sorted, because we're not having this for her. Blimey.
What other kind of catchphrases have we got this year? I've heard what is it, Riz, that they keep saying with Chris?
Yeah, so that was the last summer thing.
And I feel like they're just copying other series rather than making up their own.
Yeah, no one's established anything yet.
We need
get
something
that sorted
new
as well.
And also they're kind of not doing any sort of code chat that they normally do.
The sex code.
I know that they haven't, and I know that nothing's happened as yet, but even when Arabella was telling Georgia that she'd slept with Toby, she didn't beat around the bush, pardon the phrase, but like it was more of a like direct, we slept together. Yeah. There was no code at all.
This is why I think that we're going to have more action this series than any other series, because they're all just a bit more, like...
more upfront.
Yeah. Love it.
Again, and not really funny, but just a bit of an interesting little add-on was that... did you hear Chris when he was on his date opening up a little bit about why he uses jokes maybe to deflect humour, deflect emotion, showing emotion, so using humour to try and just become just protect himself, I guess. And he was just saying that he actually lost his funny side in a past relationship, and as far as we're aware, Maura Higgins was his last relationship. And they've never spoken about each other, but so it gave this really interesting little glimpse into potentially why their relationship didn't work out.
Yeah.
That he kind of felt like he couldn't be his normal goofy, because he's just so goofy. I think that's the best word for Chris.
Yeah.
But he makes me howl with laughter all the time. Anytime he's on screen, I kind of just start laughing before he's even said anything.
I think he's just... I think the thing with Chris is he's one of those people where the first time you meet them, you're probably howling with laughter. And then either you're going to continue howling with laughter forevermore until death do us part, or you get the ick.
Yeah.
You feel like you're at the Chris show. And I get the feeling that quite a few girls have already gone through that journey in the villa. So it will be interesting to see if Arabella takes up permanent residence in that front row seat, or Scarpa's at the interval.
Yeah, for sure. And just we touched on it slightly earlier, but Kaz and Tyler with their awkward sit-down chat, it reminded me of a bit of a Ross and Rachel from Friends.
Ooh.
Talking about this break.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought, I wonder, 2 years on and they're still really rowing about it. And Kaz just shouting, I don't do breaks. I love her sass. I love her, how powerful she is, how she doesn't really take any of this shit chat.
Yeah.
Love it.
I completely agree.
How will she react when she finds out about Tyler's kiss with Hannah, though?
Yeah, I think that's going to be good. So let me just get my tea lady shop out again. Liberty's got a lot to say about it. So tonight we'll see Liberty really get involved in that Kaz Tyler situation. I would argue worry a bit more about your own situation potentially.
I mean, definitely
bring that energy to your own situation. But look, the longest enduring relationship in there is probably Kaz and Liberty's being best mates. So we love that girlhood. And then
but it's a bit intimidating, like for the guys. I mean, they might kind of get scared off by that, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Because like the way that Liberty just took Tyler to the side and just laid out sort of her rules for him going in there and how he would treat Kaz. And I don't know. I mean, it's. I think the thought is really lovely, but it just feels so sort of meddling. Maybe.
I think especially when, like we say, she's not bringing it on her side. It's not really
she's done everything that Kaz didn't want her to do, basically, in there.
Do as I say, not as I do, as my mum would say.
What a motto in life.
I know. So tonight we're going to see the bombshells go on dates.
Yes.
It's the old starter, main, dessert format.
And is it in front of everyone? When they sit?
Yeah.
God.
So I'm not going to tell you who, but I'm just going to tell you that one islander sucks a strawberry out another islander's mouth. And I'm just going to leave you with that thought.
Who is that going to be? That feels intimate. Tom and Georgia.
We'll see. You can join us tomorrow, where I'm sure we'll be talking all about that berry madness and more. Cracking on with the Sun every weekday at 5 p.m.